All right, so we're at the end of this journey, and now we've got to ask the big question. How does all this stuff actually fit together? We're diving into Christian social work to see how faith, theory, and real-world practice can merge into one powerful, cohesive calling. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the one idea that completely reframes, well, everything. It's a fundamental shift in perspective that changes the entire nature of the work.
So is it just a job or is it a calling? And look, this is way more than just a simple question of paycheck versus passion. The core idea here is to challenge us to see this work as something so much deeper than a career. It's positioned as a truly profound calling.
So here's the key word: vocation. It's not just what you do, it's about whose work you're a part of while you're doing it. The skills are absolutely professional, but the purpose behind them is seen as divine. A form of stewardship where you get to join in God's redemptive work in the world.
And this quote, wow, it just nails it. This isn't about climbing some corporate ladder. It's framed as a spiritual pilgrimage. That language is so intentional, right? It implies a journey, constant growth, and a sacred destination.
Okay, so if we're on a spiritual pilgrimage, you're going to need a map, right? You need some anchors to keep you grounded when things get tough. And that's where we turn to the core theological principles that guide the whole practice.
And look, these aren't just nice quotes to put on a poster. They are the absolute, non-negotiable bedrock of the whole thing. Just take Imago Dei, the belief that every single person is made in God's image. That one idea completely revolutionizes how you view the people you serve, restoring dignity no matter what their situation is. These principles are the practical anchors for every single decision.
So we've got these big theological ideas, but how do you actually use them in the real world? How do you look at the messiness and complexity of someone's life and start to make sense of it?
This simple sentence? It is a total game changer. It pushes back hard against any approach that looks at a person in a vacuum. Instead, it insists that we are all tangled up in these complex webs of relationships, communities, and systems that make us who we are.
So to actually map out all those connections in a systematic way, the course brings in this really powerful tool from social work theory. It's called Bronfenbrenner's ecological model, and it basically gives you a set of lenses to see all the different layers influencing a person's life.
And this model is just brilliant at showing how complex life really is. Think about it, a kid struggling in school, it's never just about the kid, right? You have the microsystem, that's their family, their friends. Then there's the exosystem, maybe a parent's super stressful job is having an effect at home. And all of that is sitting inside the macrosystem, the culture, the laws, the social norms. It's all connected. And once you see it that way, your whole approach to helping has to change.
So once you see that whole intricate web of connections, you pretty quickly have this aha moment where you realize, wow, I can't be the solution to everything. And that leads straight into a really critical conversation about roles and boundaries.
Getting this right is absolutely crucial. Knowing your lane isn't about being less helpful, it's about making sure people get the right kind of help. A social worker isn't a pastor, and a pastor isn't a licensed therapist. Keeping those boundaries clear is it's ethical, and it's what's most effective for the person in need.
So, what holds all these boundaries together? Humility. But we're not just talking about a feeling. It's an action. It's what you do. It looks like actively asking for advice from others, knowing when to say, this is beyond me, and making a referral, and being willing to work under someone else's guidance and authority. These are your professional safety nets.
Which brings us to one of the biggest takeaways of this whole module. If this work really is a pilgrimage, well, a pilgrimage doesn't just end when you get a certificate. Finishing a course isn't the finish line. It's more like the starting gun for the real journey ahead.
The commitment, then, is to be a lifelong learner, both in your profession and in your faith. And notice how this all weaves together. It's not one or the other. You're pursuing continuing ed in social work and theology. You're getting professional feedback from peers, and you're practicing spiritual disciplines. It's this beautiful, holistic, integrated approach to growth.
In this quote, man, this is one to write down and stick on your wall, because it just takes all the pressure off. The goal isn't to be perfect, which is totally impossible anyway. The goal is just to be faithful, to show up, to do the work well, and to stay connected to the reason why you started in the first place.
And that leads to this, the ultimate mindset shift. Your work is not your own, it is His. When you really let that sink in, it changes how you see everything, from your successes to your failures. It's not all on your shoulders. You're a steward, a participant in something much, much bigger than yourself. So we'll leave you with this question, because if you really, truly believe that your work isn't ultimately yours, but his, what changes for you? It changes everything, right? How you handle a tough day, how you celebrate a win, and where you find the strength to keep going. It's the question that really gets to the very heart of what it means to have a sacred vocation.